Hey there. Today it's a little off topic of coaching or consulting, but it was just something that I was thinking about. It just so happens that a couple of women, friends and family members in my life are going through some various like medical stuff or I don't know, just it's function, I think, of age. But like some of the stuff is so frustrating to hear about um, because things were undiagnosed or let go, or they don't really know what to do because the standard by which everything is has been modeled is men. And I have a book that I must have let someone borrow because it's not on my bookshelf, but it's called Invisible Women, and it just talks about the structural assumption or the what exists in the world today and the structures of that and how they were based on men, and they don't really consider the patterns or body type of women. Like they just kind of scale men down, and of course that's not going to work because we have different hormones for first of all. But so that's just frustrating, and I think about that with ADHD as the more I find women who are getting diagnosed late in life because they don't fit the standard mold of what that looked like. Um, so that's just kind of frustrating, but it also got me thinking about just medical terminology in general. And I had this conversation with friends of mine when I was going through my breast cancer diagnosis before I was diagnosed, and I was going for my mammograms. And one of the things that they told me was, well, you have dense breast tissue, and 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 talking to some of my friends who are in biology and in medical related fields, they're like, well, probably that was just a term that was used by the medical professionals amongst themselves that just kind of eked out into more continuous usage or just more public usage, where it used to mean something very specific, like in medical circles, and now it's just out there. It's like, well, yeah, I get that. I mean, I know that happens. Words change, especially if they have a negative connotation. I mean, you can take, I think it was moron, or I think it was moron that was like a designated like IQ level or something. And now, we took that and it was like an official term, and now it's derogatory. So, humans are good at that. But when what it felt like, and of course, some of this could be just the random like ownership of things that are not my responsibility that I take, thanks to the ADHD. But I would feel like, I felt like it was kind of accusatory, like, well, we're going to have to do this particular thing because you've got dense breast tissue. Now, every woman I have spoken to and told that has been like, oh, yeah, me too. So I'm starting to think it's pretty common. And so maybe it's not like this abnormal thing, which is what it sounds like when they tell you that. And also, like, I didn't do anything to make that happen. It's not like I'm packing stuff in there, because I want them to be denser. I'd like them to be lighter, less dense, honestly. So it's just like this, I don't know, strange thing about the way that medical terminology is done, and like and the implications to that, because I also went through infertility, and I was like I was hitting the age where you're like, I think it's gravitas senile, because I was over 35 and I was still trying to get pregnant, and then I had a couple of losses, and then now I'm a recurrent miscarrier. And there's things that are just, I understand that they're coming from like for a medical diagnosis, but you can't help but hear those things about yourself, and they're just negative. They suck. And even like the ADHD stuff, which I don't know, maybe it's just like me hoping for this to happen, but I feel like in the future there will be less what's neurotypical and what's not, because I feel like a lot of people are not as typical as we thought that they were. Now that we're becoming more aware of things and getting better at diagnosing and realizing that not everybody fits this same mold. But like every time I hear about my dopamine deficiency, but that feels like I'm doing something. Like it's my fault that I'm not having like, I just don't like it. Like, because nobody's around, telling like neurotypical people, oh, well, you just didn't have so much, freaking dopamine. Maybe you'd be a little more creative, or maybe you'd be able to see this problem differently. I don't know. Just it's, it's deficient based on based on what someone else has decided is the correct thing, and that's arbitrary. Someone decided that, and so now there's a deficiency because we don't meet the standard that well, who says that's the right standard? Maybe that's a dumb standard. It's a standard, but who's to say it's a good one? So anyway, that's just what I'm thinking about and ranting about mentally. I don't feel like I'm deficient. I feel like I am, pretty cool. And yeah, there's things I don't do well, but there's things I really rock at, and I think that's true of everybody. So at any rate, if you feel the same, just let me know, or if you feel differently about it, I'd love to hear it. Or if there's something like that in this field that you're like, oh yeah, and this other thing has always bothered me about this medical terminology, because I'd love to hear that too, just because it's I don't know, because then I have more stuff to rant about, I guess. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day.